Hi, I'm Blake Repine, and welcome to Strategy, Leadership, and Impact. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to this episode of Strategy, Leadership, and Impact. I hope you've all been well since the last episode. It has been a few weeks, and apologize for that. Try to keep a bit more consistent. Again, if you have a topic or a question or a comment you'd like to make in regards to the podcast, please feel free to email me at blakerepine@gmail.com, or you can connect with me through LinkedIn. Again, just search my name, Blake Repine, send me a message through there. And if you listen on the Anchor app, you can actually leave me a voice message through that app. To get into this week's topic, kind of just jump straight into it. Recently, I had a conversation with someone around leadership, leadership role, and people liking you, and how do you get people to like you? And I actually don't necessarily think that you should ever work to get people to like you necessarily. Of course, one of the things successful leaders usually are found to be likable people. But I don't think you should ever work necessarily for people to like you. I think you should always work with people to build trust and confidence in you. And through that, you actually find that likability and you build respect. Because if you're working just for people to like you, there's a couple truths, I guess, that I should share with you. First of all, not everybody you work with is going to like you. And that comes back to a personality thing. There's multiple personalities within any organization. Everybody has their own unique personality. And some of them, you'll find that you could get along with them, and some of them you won't necessarily. And being a leader in particular, there's going to be times when people don't like the decisions you make. They don't necessarily agree with them, and they're going to feel free to tell you their opinion about that. And that is okay depending on how they present that opinion. Obviously, if they present in a professional and constructive manner versus a disruptive manner, that is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You probably don't want a team where everybody always agrees with you 100% of the time and everybody likes each other and you're all friends and you get along and everything's happy and go lucky. But you do want a team that can get along. And also with that as well, people telling you their opinion when they don't like something that, a decision you made or something that you're doing. Take that on board and say, well, is it actually something that you need to address, or is it not? Or is it something you feel like you need to change, or is it not? But have those open lines of communications back with those people and let them know, well, this is the reason why I made this decision, X, Y, Z, or this is the reason why I'm doing this or we're doing this because of X, Y, Z. And a lot of times they still might not like it, but at least they understand, and understanding goes a long way. And it's having those open communications and having the trust to be able to have those open communications that is vitally important. And then understand the difference too whenever someone disagrees versus someone who is trying to undermine you. Two very different things there as well. Sometimes people will be toxic. They won't necessarily agree with anything you ever do because they see that, because they don't like you or don't agree with you, they're going to start working against you. And you don't need that in the organization either. And, you have to address that separately. The flip side of that as well, you're not going to like everyone you work with either. Again, the personality difference will come up, and you kind of think about your coworkers and your peers and things and say, well, is this someone I would want to spend time with outside of work? And it might not be. And that's okay, because you don't have to like someone to get along with them. You can still be professional. You can still get along. You can still work together as a cohesive team. Just because you don't always agree doesn't mean that it's bad. And just because someone has an opinion that's different than yours doesn't mean that it's bad. It's just what it is. It's just their opinion. It's just their own perspective, their own point of view. And because theirs is different than yours doesn't mean that theirs is wrong or yours is wrong. Again, that's just what it is. And professionals and people with high emotional intelligence see this and they understand that. And then they communicate professionally, this is why I feel this way, or this is my perspective. And that's okay. And that's what you want. And again, too, being in a leadership position in a role, high in an organization, you have people that work for you, there's going to come times when you're going to have to make decisions that aren't popular. And you need to have the courage to be able to do that, do what's best for the organization, do what's best for the whole of the group. And whenever you do that, sometimes people might be angry and they're going to look at someone or something to be angry at, and it could be you. And just looking at that and kind of understanding that, okay, this is why they're angry. This is, sometimes you may or may not understand why they're necessarily taking it out on you. A lot of times it's just because you're the one in that role, or you're the one that had to make the decision, or you're the one that had to follow through with whatever it is. People that are very professional or are professionals will understand that. And if you're communicating with them why you had to do whatever it was, or why you had to make the decision, why you had to follow through, don't blame the organization or don't blame someone above you because they said so. That's a cop out. Don't do that. But if they understand, well, I had to do this because it was best for the group because of this, or whatever, professionals understand that. You still might not be happy about it, but they understand that and say, okay, I understand why we are having to do this or why you had to make that decision. Sometimes people won't, and they will blame you and they will be angry at you. And you have to look at it and go, okay, well, is their anger or their frustrations, is it hurting the organization? Is it hurting the team? Is it something that you can get through, get over, whatever it might be? Or is it something really that you need to address with that individual and potentially take action on? A lot of times it probably isn't. Now, again, you do have those toxic people that are angry and they blame the organization and people within the organization for every single thing that happens. Even sometimes whenever something is potentially in their favor, they're still angry. They're just toxic, and that's a whole nother subject, around that toxicity. But as a leader, it just has an individual working in an organization, working in a team. Understand, the bigger the team is, the more likely it is that you're going to have personality clashes. There's going to be someone in there who you're not necessarily going to like. Again, you don't have to like someone to get along with them. You don't have to like someone to still have a very professional relationship, mutually beneficial relationship, and a productive relationship. That is what it is, and professionals know that and they understand that. It's people that are professionally mature, I guess, that don't get that. And if you're wanting to be in a leadership position or aspiring to be in a leadership position or are in a leadership position and you're working solely to get people to like you, you are going to fail. If you're in a leadership position or you want to be a good leader, a great leader, work to build trust, work to build confidence in the team. Don't work for someone to like you necessarily. So what are your thoughts on this? I'd really like to hear what you think about this, what experience you've had in regards to this. If you had experience with this, I'd really like to know, how did you deal with it? What did you do? What was the actual outcome, or what was the inputs that went into this happening? I can probably tell you multiple stories of times whenever been people that have worked for me who drove me up the wall. I mean, just because their personality is just so different from mine. However, I actually looked objectively at the situation or the relationship and went, is it just the personality differences? Is it detrimental, or is it causing conflict within the work that we're doing or the team and things like that? And it actually wasn't. The other person, they were still doing a really good job at what they were doing. They were still managing their teams very well. They were still getting things done in a productive and professional manner. And just because of that, I'm going to do everything I can to make this relationship work. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that we're still able to achieve whatever it is we're set out to achieve, that we're still a cohesive team and we're still able to accomplish things. And it's gone very well. But then again, I've had peers of mine. I've worked for people who, if you don't get along with them, they try to get rid of you, or they will do everything they can to work against you. And again, that's not professional. That shows someone with very low emotional intelligence. And that's not what we want to do. And again, I've had to carry out some very difficult things sometimes, or had to make some very difficult decisions, against having that moral courage to carry out those decisions that affect other people. They're not always easy, but they need to be done. And it upsets some people, make people angry. And again, it's communicating with them and that understanding, yes, they're still angry, but sometimes if they understand, they will work through it and they will come kind of to terms with it on their own in a positive way. And some people just don't, for whatever reason. And that's something that you have to work through. And it's not easy. Being a leader is not always easy. It's not always smooth sailing. It's not always great. And one of the things that's going to make you a great leader is being able to make those hard decisions, being able to put up with things you typically wouldn't want to put up with or necessarily have to deal with because you're in the position you are in. And like I say, it's lonely at the top, and it is because you can't go vent about these things to the people that work for you. That's unprofessional. So you have to find your peers in other organizations or outside your organization that you can actually, pick up the phone call and have a talk to about it, and go, well, is this just a personality conflict, or is this something different? Am I being objective in this situation? Am I looking at this person in an objective sense? And get someone, kind of offside that can help you be objective, help you look at the situation, go, yep, you guys, your personalities just don't match each other, but that's okay because you're still able to work together, you're still able to do these things together. And sometimes too, you just need to have a bit of a whinge, bit of a get things off your chest, with someone else who listen. And again, you can't do that with someone who works for you. Sometimes you can't do that with your own peers either, or you don't feel comfortable doing that with people in your organization. So you need to look for someone outside the organization who, again, will give you their objective opinion, tell you to pull your head in when you need to pull your head in, or tell you, hey, you probably want to actually take action on this. You might actually want to do something else. But the biggest thing is, as a leader, have thick skin. Don't get offended easily. If you do get offended easily, then leadership's not for you. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you all have a great week, and I'll talk to you again soon. Thank you.